So you are staring at the classifieds and wondering if the price premium for the E36 M3 is actually justified, or if you should just save a pile of cash and buy a 328i instead. This is the ultimate debate in the BMW community, and the answer is not as simple as looking at a spec sheet, because the driving experience tells a totally different story. Let us start with the engine, because in the North American market, the differences are closer than the Europeans would like to admit. The US-spec M3 got the S50 and later the S52 engine, while the 328 has the M52 B28. On paper, the M3 has more horsepower and a larger displacement, coming in at 3.0 or 3.2 liters depending on the year, versus the 2.8 liters in the 328i. However, when you drive them back-to-back around town, the 328 feels remarkably punchy because it makes peak torque very low in the rev range. You do not have to wring its neck to get moving. But the M3 engine is simply more eager, and it has sharper camshafts and a tune that begs you to hit the redline. The real magic of the M3, however, is not just the engine. It is the Limited Slip Differential, or LSD, which came standard on every single M3. This is the game changer because almost all 328i's came with an open differential, which means if you try to power out of a corner or do a drift, you represent the one-tire fire squad spinning just the inside wheel while you go nowhere. If you buy a 328i, you almost have to factor in the cost of swapping in an LSD immediately if you want to do any spirited driving. Then we have the suspension and chassis geometry, where the M3 has different control arms, different offset bushings, and reinforced mounting points right from the factory, giving it more caster and a much sharper turn-in response. The steering rack on the M3, specifically the 95 model, is a variable ratio rack, but honestly, a lot of people swap in the quicker linear rack from a Z3 into both cars, so that is a wash. Brakes are another massive difference because the M3 brakes are significantly larger, and the master cylinder is tuned for a firmer pedal feel, which gives you way more confidence when you're diving into a corner at speed, whereas the 328 brakes are adequate for the street but will fade quickly on a track. Visually, the M3 has the aggressive bumpers, the side skirts, the mirrors, and the iconic Vader seats, which hold you in place incredibly well. But finding a clean set of Vaders these days costs a fortune. Here is the reality check though. A well-sorted 328i with a few key modifications like the M50 intake manifold, a limited slip differential swap, and fresh suspension can actually be faster and more fun than a tired stock M3 for less money. The 328 is 90% of the car for usually 60% of the price. However, the M3 holds its value incredibly well and has that special M badge prestige that you just cannot replicate. If you want a project car to build and learn on, get the 328i and turn it into a giant killer. But if you want a turnkey classic that feels special the moment you turn the key and will likely appreciate in value, the M3 is the one to get. Ultimately, both cars offer that analog hydraulic steering feel and lightweight chassis balance that modern cars have completely lost, so you really cannot lose either way.